Hiring green technicians versus experienced technicians. We're going to discuss it on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every week discussing all things pests. And we're going to be discussing hiring green versus hiring experienced tech. Pros and cons, nightmares, and headaches, well, that come along with hiring no matter what you do. Hiring technicians is not easy. This is something that a lot of people in this industry have absolutely, I would say that 95% plus of people in the pest control industry have never had any real hiring experience. There's a big difference when you work for a large company, that you work for even a regional company, and you are a manager or a field service manager, and you get leads from technicians, but they really get hired by corporate. They get interviewed by corporate, and they basically get delivered to you. That's great if you don't have any time, but it's a mixed bag because you get what you didn't ask for. On the other hand, you don't ever gain any hiring experience because you didn't get to interview them. A lot of people get interviewed by the branch manager, and they get dumped on you. So you worked for a company as a tech for 15 years. You never hired anybody. You worked with a lot of people that got hired, but you didn't hire them. So hiring an HR is really a separate experience that if you're going to do it, you're going to end up doing it 10, 15 times before you learn to get it right. Here, just like in sales, in hiring, people will quit after about the third employee. They will quit after about the third contact, when you really need about 10 to 13 contacts or 10 to 13 hires before you get really good or understand how to hire. And most people quit. And here's what they want. They don't want the hassle of training somebody from scratch when they're growing, because they're growing so fast that they need to put a guy on a truck and that can get the work done and get off and running very quickly. Or a guy just quit and you need to put a warm body on a truck. When there's two spectrums of this. When you are a solo operator and you're hiring your first guy, you're paranoid, because you're suffering from what I call CFS, control freak syndrome. Nobody is ever going to do it as good as me. I can't find anybody that does it like me. Nobody's ever as good as me. And guess what? As an owner, as an experienced tech with 10, 15 years of experience, who's meticulous and a control freak, you're never going to find anyone as good as you. You need to get over that really quickly. What a lot of people are looking for is an easy button. If I just go to Indeed or I go to ZipRecruiter, I'm going to find these great technicians. No, you're going to find leads on people that are interested in working. Some people are interested in getting a paycheck. Others are interested in learning. Others are interested in a career. You still have to do all the hard work of interviewing, background checks, reference checking, sending them to get physicals, go pee in a cup. That's a lot of work. And the idea of hiring an experienced tech is always what everybody wants because they don't have to train them. They feel they don't have to train them. But regardless of which way you go, I want to let you know there's no easy button. You either are going to hire a guy with a ton of experience, but he's a mixed bag. because he comes with bad habits. How old is he? Is he retrainable? If he has 20 years of experience and he's in his late 50s and he's not retrainable, you're going to butt head with this guy because you want it done a certain way and he's going to do it his own way every time. Is he retrainable? How many bad habits did he pick along because he worked for XYZ company, and you know these companies are terrible at really training and getting the right employee? Here's another thing that you got to look at. If you're a tech in this industry and you're listening to me right now and you're getting in, or you've been in for a couple of years, working for the wrong company is going to limit your career options. Because if you happen to fall for a company that has great marketing, but lousy training, lousy customer service, nobody's going to want you. There are certain companies that are in this industry that people do not want them. And now you're left with, I'm going to either continue to work here or work for a similar company in the industry that have the same habits and basically still have the same headaches, or I got to start up on my own. Because you're not going to be rehireable because of the bad reputation that your company has. Does he have superiority complexes? I am much better and much smarter than you as an owner. I know way more than you. Therefore, I'm always going to do it my way. I'm not going to listen to you. Attitudes. Attitudes are probably the most important thing to look for. You can train a newbie to do anything you want your way. If he's trainable, if he wants to learn. But the most important things I look for in a tech is, number one, how likable is he? Because if the customer doesn't like him, he can be the most brilliant guy in the world, and he's not going to make it. What's his attitude like? Is he likable? Can he really, if this guy is charismatic that people really like? Then, how flexible is he? How willing is he to learn a lot of it on his own? The days of me teaching you everything is gone. The days of becoming an apprentice and the company putting you through an extensive training program is gone. You better be able to learn on your own. What books has he read lately? If the person hasn't read a book in 5 years, tells me he's not interested in learning anything new. I want to know what he read lately in the last 30 days. That's going to give me an indication. There are things you learn to ask when you're hiring people to see where they've been and where they're wanting to go. Here is the reality. You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The majority of people also who are in pest control, as pest control owners or as solo operators, have very little real management experience of managing people, of leadership. If they've been in management, they've been in really low level management where I'm the boss, you listen to me, I tell you what to do, and don't question me. That is really low level management. They have no leadership training. So what you're doing is you're managing what is known as by abdication versus by delegation. You're going to put that guy in the truck because he knows how to apply. He knows all the products. He knows the lingo. He knows how to do everything. And you're going to put him in a truck and you're going to say, woof, I'm done. I can now breathe. With absolutely spending no time with that person in the field, with no putting them through a training program. I have to put somebody through a training program regardless to do what a lot of the things that we need to do, because a lot of the things have to do with changing mindsets. No, but we used to do it this way at our company. We don't do it that way here. I don't care what it takes. You're never going to apply that product to get it done. You got to set the ground rules. You got to have some time that you spend with them. And what you want to do is you want to abdicate, not delegate. One thing is to delegate authority, responsibility. Another thing is just to say, well, that's it. I'm done. This guy's going to be great, and leave him on his own so I can focus on growing the business because I'm so focused on sales and growth that I could care less what he's doing in the field. You have to dump all of your knowledge on paper. You have to put it through a process. Does it make sense the way I'm training? You can't just keep 20 years of experience in your head. Here's the worst thing. Yes, you got to cross-train people if the person is cross-trainable. But you get a GHP tech, a general household pest tech, to do ants and roaches, and then you also want him to do immediately lawns and ornamental. And then you also want him to do termite because you need to put him on a termite truck. You're going to burn him out. Just because you're an expert at doing all three things doesn't mean that you can get everybody that walks through that door to do the same thing. The best thing you can do is have a McDonald's approach, have a Subway approach where you have everything down on a manual, every process, every procedure they're going to do, down to writing, and then have such simplicity in the service that it's very difficult for them to screw it up. You know, before you hire them, put them 3 days with you on a truck. Buy them lunch. Running around with you to see if they're able to handle this. How do they interact with clients? Are they self-starters? You can see a lot of things about people just by hanging around with them. What questions they ask. If all he's asking is chemical, you know you're going to have a problem. Look at attitude and body language. It says more than a resume ever will. Hire people that have real previous customer service experience. You can't teach that a lot of times. You want to really know, it's not a determining factor of who you hire, but it is going to be a determining factor of how they're able to learn, function within the organization, is to put them through a personality test like DISC, D-I-S-C. And I got a link there on DISC profile so that you can understand how personality profiles will play a role. If you've got the right person in front of you with the right, take your personality profile, give a personality profile to the best people that you find working with you, and then now you have somewhere to launch and say, okay, it's somewhere between here and here is going to be the ideal guy. Take some of the best techs in the industry that you know that are friends, that are good techs, that have great routes, and give them a DISC personality profile. And then have that as a reference point. You see? To say, what is it going to... Here's a guy that doesn't want to be a manager. He doesn't want to be an owner. But he's a great tech. Very callbacks, has great sales. Customers love him. Let me see what his profile would look like. You see? And then give him a test. But in any case, in my experience, green or somebody with very little experience in the industry, but that has all the qualifying factors of being a great tech, is a good sign for me. Folks, I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.